Thank you guys for having me here today. I appreciate the opportunity for sure. And even just for context, I initially I started with web development in high school, and it carried on from there. But once I was exposed to online marketing around 2012, 2013, that's when everything on the marketing side really kicked off for me. And so today we'll be covering managing your digital presence to build trust, authority, and sales. So I'm going to keep it kind of high level, but I'm still going to go into some depth because I want you guys to have enough to take away with. So first, there is really an epidemic right now happening in the business and marketing world. Currently, 50% of B2B business-to-business search queries that happen on Google today are made on smartphones, and that figure is expected to raise to 70% by the end of 2020. This is just one metric of many, but what this is telling us is how people are thinking. Even in organizations and business owners, they're very comfortable to go to their smartphones and conduct searches and research online, even through a smartphone, instead of even having to go through desktop. Even with that pace, more small businesses are being left behind when it comes to digital marketing. In fact, in a study that Infusionsoft conducted this year, they showed that 29% of respondents said they won't be using digital marketing efforts in 2019. That stat right there kept me up at night. That freaked me out, to be honest. So the areas that we'll be covering today mainly is going to be how to build trust through online efforts. Trust is huge, and we'll go into how that carries over into the other next channels. From there, we'll dive into how to build authority online. And lastly, we'll connect both of how our efforts on trust building and authority building produce sales. So diving into the fundamentals of building trust online, there are four main topics that we're going to dive into for trust. First is having a trustworthy and intuitive website. Next is how to consistently acquire customer reviews. Third is how to educate your target customer on your expertise. And lastly, building a community on social media. So for the first fundamental, to have a trustworthy website, your trustworthy website needs to meet the following requirements. So we're going to talk about when you first land on a website, what should you be seeing when you first land without having to scroll? You should be presented by a clear headline and supporting text above the fold. So this means that right when I land on this webpage, I should know what is being presented as far as a product or offer, and a little bit of context of how that pertains to solving my pain point as a user or a customer. Next is using authentic imagery. Too many of times do we use too much stock photography on websites, and consumers are smart. They've seen stock photos everywhere, and they'll even say like, oh, I've seen that same photo used on a billboard, and I see it now on this website. And so it creates kind of a disconnect there. If we use authentic photos that we shoot ourselves and own, it really brings the authenticity to the table. Next is using video. If you're able to have a homepage where you land, there's a headline, supporting text, you have authentic imagery, but then also a video off to the right that can be clicked on. That's great because video is a medium that allows to explain much more further depth as far as your message. You're able to, apart from copy, video is a great creative to really dive deeper. Next is having a clear call to action, which here we're abbreviating as CTA. And so having a CTA could be of all sorts. Some common examples would be call for a free or request a free consultation, or call for a free quote or a free estimate, so forth. But you absolutely want a strong CTA above the fold. Next is having testimonials and social proof. So being able to show that you've been there and done that, and that what you're claiming that you can do, you can prove it by the testimonials that you have on your website. And lastly, providing resources and education in the form of free content. Good examples of this would, of course, be blogs and articles that you write, but I want to push that and really dive into encouraging people to produce video creative to answer questions. Because if you can create video, now you're opening up the door to having content that's much more easily accessible. For example, I don't know if you've seen videos on Facebook or LinkedIn, but they autoplay and you'll see the captions running. So that means that if you're quiet in a lobby at a doctor's office or something like that and you want to consume some content, you don't have to listen to the audio. You can just read the captions, but seen in a visual, entertaining manner. So here are some examples of trustworthy websites. This is Carvana. I don't know if you've seen the big tower that's next to Loop 202, and it's big and lit up, and there's a bunch of cars stacked up in it near 202 and Rural Road, I believe. This is a great example, and so we'll dive into why. So first, when we land on this website, above the fold, we have a clear headline, the new way to buy a car. So right off the bat, when I land, I know that, okay, we're in the business of having I'll reword that. Right when I land on that, I know that they're providing me a solution on how to purchase a car, that they are that gateway. Next, there's a supporting text right above the headline that explains their unique process. Buy online, get it delivered, love it or return it. Very clear, simple. Next is the menu items. We have, you'll actually see that they're the same at the top and the bottom. We have search cars, sell trade, and financing. So it's very clear on what Carvana is trying to get their users to do. If they're not interested in searching for cars or selling or trading or there for financing, they're not the right prospect. Another great example is Roto-Rooter, and the reason why I chose this one is because many times we see home service-based businesses that are plumbers or garage door repair, et cetera, and they're in the business of lead generation. They need a full pipeline for their sales team. So this is a great example because right when we land on Roto-Rooter's website, off to the left, there's a call to action. We can call us now with the phone number, and also since they have a huge network, they have a form field in which we can input our zip code and our city to conduct our search and find a Roto-Rooter technician that's near our geographic location. Up top of the CTA, the call to action, it says the experts you've trusted for over 80 years. So at least there's some credibility there as far as verbiage as well. In addition, in 3 different areas, they tell you exactly what they bring to the table. They do plumbing and water cleanup. They showcase this underneath the logo. They have it on their main header with also saying, yeah, we do both, which is awesome as far as having a personality and a branding play there. And lastly, in their main menu, showing plumbing, drains, and water damage restoration. Next, the reason why I did highlight scheduled service and coupons is because ideally for this type of business, they need leads. So wherever we can create accessibility for them is what we need to do. We have accessibility here to take action, also schedule service, and also coupons, especially for auto repair, plumbing, garage door repair, et cetera. All these businesses are huge on coupons, and so we need to have those present. Lastly, the next example, and the final example, is Zaner Harden Law. This law firm is definitely really pushing the modernization of websites, probably compared to typically what you see right now. And so their strategy is very well thought out. When you first land, there's a huge headline that says recognized leaders in personal injury law. So right off the bat, they're positioning themselves as a leader in the space of personal injury. In addition, there's a call to action button underneath the headline that says get your free consultation, so you know how to take action. Above the headline, there's a video on in which you can click into it and learn more about their story and what their take on it is as far as personal injury. And then also there's your story will be told as a tagline, which is presenting how their take of how they approach. They know that they're going to be aggressive and tactful with your case. In addition, there's practice areas, results, and reviews. These are important because if I'm still in the discovery phase, I can dive into which areas of practice they focus on. Next is results, which is case studies, so that's proof, and also reviews as far as that customer experience that they had. In addition, personal injury law, that's a subject that I don't know much about. So if I was in a situation where I would need a lawyer in personal injury law, I would have a ton of questions. So it's really important that they have an FAQ page on their website, because they probably receive the same set of 10 questions over and over again. At that point, you might as well create a piece of content that's easily accessible, and you're removing barriers as far as information from you and your target customer. And lastly, a call to action at the top right-hand corner, free consultation with the phone number. So all these items, as far as credibility of what they do, what they bring to the table, and how to take action, all exist without having to scroll down the page. So we're going to dive into the second fundamental of building trust online, is how to consistently acquire customer reviews. There are there are at least 3 main platforms you should be focusing on review acquisition. We're going to begin with Google My Business. Google My Business is a top platform, mainly because also, it's Google, so there's a search engine play there as far as optimizing your website and making sure you have great credibility, but also because that first local pack, when you're conducting a local search and you're looking for that best restaurant or that best lawyer or anything like that in your local area, you're going to see a bunch of competition, and so at that point, you're trying to make a decision based off reviews. Next is Facebook reviews, which they recently changed the recommendations. Facebook recommendations, the terminology is different now. Instead of reviews, it's recommendations, because the user behavior on that platform goes as such. People go on Facebook and they'll ask their private networks, hey, do you know a great mechanic? Do you know a great lawyer? Do you know a great restaurant in the area? And so they changed the verbiage to recommendations on that. Next is Yelp. Most small businesses hate Yelp because of their process of how they rank reviews. They'll hide reviews and they have their own thing. However, it's important that we at least have some sort of effort on acquiring reviews on Yelp because of the authority of that site alone. It still has a ton of authority. And lastly, any industry-specific review website pertaining to your own niche. You may know about of a couple websites that pertain to your niche that you can acquire reviews on. For example, for digital marketing companies, upcity.com and clutch.io are very common websites that we know that we need to have great reviews, because we know that people that are searching for the top agencies, they're going to those websites. So the third fundamental is educate customers on your expertise. The best way to do this is by creating content that specifically answers questions that you receive from your target customer all the time. Especially the most common questions, you should be creating content that answers those questions, content that answers those questions. When you create content that answers these questions, you be sure to be clear and simple as much as possible, but at the same time while delivering depth and tactics. To me, there's a lot of content being produced online right now where it's very competitive. So now this means that you need to be very you really need to think through of what type of content you're going to put out, and if you're really providing value, or you're really giving a full answer to your target customer. And lastly, answer questions through content in a conversational format. Speaking or writing to your audience as if you're having a conversation. The use of Alexa and Google Home and all these voice search devices are increasing dramatically. And so as that pace continues, we need to make sure that we're writing content that is speaking really almost like a human, like honestly as a human, because there's a lot of content that's being produced out there that's very fluffy, very robotic, and it's not humanized. So I get this question all the time. Do I need to create content for every common question? Because when I pose this, I usually I get some not backlash, but yeah. The answer is yes. This is your opportunity to demonstrate your expertise and educate your target audience in order for them to make the best possible decision for their needs and situation. Does this content creation ever end? Nope, never. It continues. Executing this strategy on an ongoing basis demonstrates that you know what you're talking about. And as time passes, there will always be changes to your industry, value points, your customer needs, even your competition may be positioning themselves in a different way, all that good stuff. That's why if you plan on leading the way, if you plan on being an authority, you must lead the way. So I want to conduct an exercise in this room, everyone together. Think of the number one question you receive from your target customer that pertains to your business. I want you to think about that number one question. How's everyone doing? Does everyone have their question? Okay, good deal. I want you to create a video for that. Instead of thinking, I want to create an article or a blog, because that's easy compared to video, I want you to think seriously about creating a video that answers that question. The reason why I recommend this is because YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. Personally, I love video, and I learn from video, even tutorials, etc. So instead of going to Google, I typically actually go to YouTube first, and I say, how to this, how to that. Produce a video, and it's going to be much more easily accessible. It's going to go much further in your efforts as far as providing value to your end customer. And lastly, building a community through social media. Social media always gets really put in the back burner. And so I want to teach some tactics of what to do, at least to maintain and have a healthy social media presence. So all this content that we were talking about generating and fundamentals, the third fundamental carries over into this section. We want to be sharing all the self-generated content that entertains and educates our end consumer. Next, we want to be conducting live streams on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn even opened this up soon. LinkedIn even catched on because they know that live video streams they're crazy important. I mean, the fact that you can literally go live right now and conduct a Q&A session with people is mind-boggling. That's never been available before. Be sure to respond to every single comment. Don't get lazy. If someone comments, respond back to them. Same with direct messages. Especially businesses, they receive direct messages through LinkedIn and Facebook and even Instagram now. Be sure to respond to every direct message, just not the harassing or weird ones or anything like that, because the web's crazy, but every real direct message. By conducting these tactics, you have some control over your own PR. And I think this is something that a lot of people miss about social media, is the fact that you can control the narrative and the story, especially with the small business owner. The small business owner now has more control over their own PR. So now, does trust building have any indirect effects? The answer is yes. By building these trust factors, as a result, we are building authority in our space. By creating all this content, by being a leader and leading the way in that sense in our space, we're going to start becoming an authority. So for this next section, we're going to be expanding on educating your customer on your expertise. The main fundamental of building authority online. So this is why this is incredibly important. Educating your target customer on your expertise. I'll even say it once more because I really want everyone to run with this. When you go home, think of what piece of content you can create that answers the top questions that you receive from your customer. Educating your customer through creating content that provides upfront education and answers common questions or struggles that your customers may have. This is what's called content marketing. And a lot of people don't know exactly what the definition is of content marketing. At the end of the day, content marketing is producing educative content that's reverse engineered to the pain points of your customer. So how does content marketing build authority? By providing answers and education, you become a natural go-to resource. When people start to see, oh, okay, this business is always creating this content, they're teaching me stuff up front, I'm not paying for this education, it's free, they're going to become that go-to resource naturally. By doing this, you're demonstrating your expertise and you're showing that you truly do know what you're talking about. And it's also an opportunity to showcase your unique process, your values, and your take on the topic, especially in controversial industries where different companies have their own process and take on the subject. This is where you have that opportunity to do so. So what are some of the ways to execute content marketing? Of course, through writing blogs, but furthermore, creating videos, creating infographics. If you're not familiar with what an infographic is, it's basically just a large creative image that takes you through steps or some sort of education, but at a deeper level. And this is great because it's basically a standalone piece of creative that you can share. You can share online. You can post it on a blog post or anything like that. Podcast is rising like dramatically as far as its usage in the business world. If I'm able to learn something tactfully in 15 to 20 minutes, basically on a car ride when I'm driving home or to the gym or to lunch, that's a better use of my time. And right now we know that time is the asset and we want to use it wisely. That's where podcasts come into play, being able to learn through audio format. Case studies, absolutely, showing that what you claim you can do, you're proving that you've done it, and you're going deep into a case study. You're actually showing tactfully what was done, what was the results, and why it produced the end result for that client. Ebooks and white papers, these are pretty common, especially with technical businesses. When you have to get it pretty deep, a white paper is always great. But you could always make these for download, same as ebooks. And lastly, webinars. Webinars are great on hosting because essentially what I'm doing right now, I could do in my office or at home or in a different setting with people that are in other places of the world that can conduct a presentation through a webinar. So say we create all this type of content, how exactly do we get people to consume our content? How do we get our content to be promoted to them? So just to keep this high level, because this can get pretty deep, the top channels I'm recommending are social media. So you're going to choose social profiles that are more relevant to your business. So if you're a retail business, Instagram and Facebook and even Pinterest are going to be huge. If you're in the B2B market, LinkedIn is definitely going to be huge. So think about your angle in that. Next is search engine optimization, making sure that every piece of content, whether it's an article or a video, is optimized for search engines. So for example, if you create a video, make sure that that title carries the keywords that you're looking to rank for. Again, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. And lastly, having an email newsletter. When you're producing awesome content, people want to be notified when you put out the next piece of content, especially in the B2B side of things. So now that we've covered everything on trust building and building authority, how do we leverage that to generate sales? In the context of this conversation, sales could be even an action. It could be an inquiry of any sort, but we're building all this effort to gain an action from our end user. So naturally, very high level, we'll have two segments of our audience. Obviously, we'll have new people who have never heard of our name or brand. And second, we'll have people who are familiar with your brand and follow your brand on social media or are part of your email newsletter or engage with your website content, reading articles, blogs, all that good stuff. And they're reading, they're sharing, they're commenting on this content. All this trust and authority that has been built up has a major effect on both audiences. So I want you to think that when you're creating this content, it's not just for one type of segment, it's for both segments. First is new people will quickly have trust with your brand, leading to take an action. If I land on the website, but I see an enormous amount of resources and education and testimonials and case studies and so forth up front, I automatically they've increased the pace of me giving my trust to them, which puts me further down the funnel and I'm more likely to take an action, whether it's calling and inquiring in about their services, etc. Next is existing followers will take action after receiving value from you up front and reaching the right timing. I used to see this in the auto industry business all the time. someone showed interest in a 2012 Nissan Altima. They just didn't have money yet. So we would run remarketing lists for 180 days. And even 4 or 5 months down the road, once they got their tax return or you name it, whatever, they would come back in and purchase that vehicle and convert. And so it depends on what that buying cycle is. So we want to present offers to both segments, and we really want to think this through. No matter the audience segment, you must define what success is to your business. So, for example, if you're a service-based company, you need to define, okay, are we looking to get a pipeline of leads for free estimates? We need to be very clear on what we're defining as success. If you're a retail company, is it sales? Is it micro sales of a specific product that then later on they get upgraded to another product that's at a higher price? So it's important that we define that. So how do you promote your offer? How do we get people to even be interested in this offer that we're offering? How do we get our end user to take action? The first method is by displaying your offer on a specific page of your website, which sounds very obvious. But remember, you have control of where you present your offer and to whom to a degree. So here's an example of this scenario. This is a company named HubSpot. They provide all sorts of business software. They have an article here that says the 24 best sales management books every sales manager should read. So this article is geared towards educating sales managers and even anyone that's in the sales arena. As I scroll down this article, I see this lead magnet. That's what we call a lead magnet, which is an offer. It says free guide, inbound selling, how to close and negotiate with a call to action to download now. This is a free piece of content. This is part of content marketing. They are providing a free piece of content that's going to give me value, education up front in exchange for my contact information. So I'm going to give them my name, my number, my email address, probably my business name because this is the B2B sector. And so now I've been turned into a lead. I'm a prospect, but I got something for free. And as long as it's valuable and really, really providing value, people will take action on this. The next method is launching a paid media campaign and driving traffic to a specific page with your offer. So to define paid media campaigns, paid media is the umbrella term. You can run ads on Facebook, on Google, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Pinterest, you name it. It just depends on your business and what you're looking to offer. So here are just some basic examples. On the left, we have a Facebook ad that is an example. And this right here is a lead magnet. They're offering a free RV vacation plus a free $50 gift card. This is our RV resort. What they're looking to do is get you in the door in the pipeline to then start talking about timeshares, et cetera. But they're giving something up for free in exchange for your time and your contact information. Next is an ad from True Conversion on Instagram. This is a B2B ad. A lot of people think that Instagram is all about retail and selling to consumers, and that's not true. Instagram is where even business owners hang out and consume content and hang out and look at funny cat memes and all that stuff like that. So in this ad, they're offering to me a free download for the landing page blueprint. So they're actually, this service right here, they're marketing to marketers with this service from True Conversion, but they're using this lead magnet to get me in their pipeline. And just to make sure, Instagram is only used on mobile devices. So this is a screenshot from a mobile device. The third method is optimizing your website pages for specific keywords to drive organic traffic and present your offer on your website. So what this means is that this is really the high-level approach to search engine optimization. We're going to take our website, pages in our website, and we're going to make sure that they're optimized with the right keywords that we're looking to rank for on search engines like Google and Bing. So when we say organic traffic, that means that person came from a search engine naturally, not through a paid ad. This is just a natural search engine result. So an example of this is say I went to Google and I typed in, how to find the right real estate agent. And at the top result, I see a blog post that reads 7 tips to picking a real estate agent. And the website that's producing this piece of content is Bankrate. Bankrate is an independently owned company where they compare loans for you. They help you through this process. So they know this is very top of the funnel strategy, but at this point they are providing content for free, educating up front, because they know that if you're working with a real estate agent, at some point you're going to need a loan, and you're going to need help on comparing where should I get my loan. And lastly, sharing offers through social media, sharing offers through an email newsletter to users who have already engaged with your brand and content online. So email is very powerful here, if anything, because as you have a full list, you can start to segment that list and find users that showed interest on a particular service on your page. So now that you have that segment, you're able to present a specific offer to them that maps out to their original interest. So here's an example of even a company that I really love called Digital Marketer. They're a huge resource in the digital marketing space. And so here, they're sending me a lead magnet through email. This is a free checklist that can increase your email deliverability up to 20%. And so this is something that they're giving to me for free in exchange for my contact information to get moved further down the funnel. Just for context, Digital Marketer, they provide a bunch of resources on marketing courses, certifications, all that good stuff like that. So that's why I'm one of their target prospects, if anything, anyone that's in the marketing realm. So now that we've presented our offer, we have all these leads. Say we have a successful campaign, we have a huge lead list. Now what do? We run into this all the time. That's why I almost stopped for a little bit. In 2019, we should be using CRM software. No more spreadsheets, no more like inbox and email. No more of that, because that's not scalable, and also there's no reason to when a lot of CRM software is free. Customer relationship management, just in case anyone didn't know. So what I wanted to dive into here is, because there is something special happening in the digital marketing space with CRMs and marketing automation software. So to define what marketing automation software is, it refers to the software that exists with the goal of automating marketing tasks. Many marketing departments have to automate repetitive tasks such as email, social media, and other website actions. This technology of marketing automation makes these tasks easier. Digital marketing gets insanely tedious, and that's why we're continuously always working on how do we automate this, how do we automate that, because there's always a chance of human error. So here are some examples of CRMs that are packaged with marketing automation software. There's HubSpot, which is a very, very common one. We were actually on their website earlier. There's Hatchbuck, which is almost kind of like a little bit lighter of a version of HubSpot. There's SharpSpring, and ActiveCampaign included, because ActiveCampaign doesn't get much love these days, but it's a great solution still. All of these platforms, except for probably Hatchbuck because it's a little bit more lightweight, are a full CRM, which HubSpot's is free, and you can customize the workflows in it. But you can also manage your email lists. So imagine if your CRM communicates with your email list, and you're able to see a prospect of what pages they visited on your website, what forms did they fill out, all that good stuff. As a sales, in sales, you would love having that type of information before you get on a phone call with a prospect. So before I finish here today, I want to share a take-home strategy. I want you guys to be able to take something home that you guys can implement, whatever industry you're in, you should be able to implement this. First, make sure you have a great offer. Make sure you have a great offer, even if it's, even if it is a free estimate or anything like that, but make sure that it's a great offer. There's a lot of value up front that you've presented so far to get to that point. And so what you're going to do is run a paid media remarketing campaign. So I'll define this a little bit. So paid media remarketing campaigns can be ran on any paid media network. Remarketing is just a term of being able to present an ad to a person that has already visited our website in the past. So this is to tie back to the auto dealership days. This is why we would run remarketing campaigns for 180 days, lifelines. People that visited our website within 180 days, we'd still show ads to them because it might be a timing thing. So we want to make sure that we segment our audience by specific interest. So with remarketing, if, say for example, we have service A. If someone showed interest in service A, I want to make sure that I'm showing them an ad that pertains to service A. That offer has to be in line with service A. So make sure that you're segmenting by interest and what they're initially interested on. So this is part of mapping your product to your customer segment. That mapping right there is critical because if you don't do that, you'll run an ad and no one will take action and you'll think that Facebook ads don't work or something like that. So you always want to make sure that everything is very mapped out. And lastly, present the offer that cannot be resisted. It has to be perfect timing. With remarketing and all these channels now, we have the opportunity to be able to present ads at the time of peak interest. If someone is on YouTube and they're searching how to, etc., and you have a service that tackles that pain point, that's when you should be showing your ad to them. So I want everyone to know this entire presentation is going to be downloadable at arizonabusinesscouncil.org/DM-presentation. We'll even send out another email blast to everyone so that everyone has direct access to downloading this. But again, just to conclude, I really want to make sure that everyone really thinks hard, strong and hard about your business and how it's perceived online. A lot of times it just gets sidelined. Think of what your customer sees when they go to your website or when they go to your social media. Does it look like a company they would want to work with and take action with? Apart from that, if you continue to do that, I assure you, you'll be managing your digital presence the right way and building trust, authority, and sales at the end of the day. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bobby, it seems like no matter what vehicle you pick within online marketing, email, social, content, whatever, it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so many people that are doing it. What's the answer to that?
That's a really good question. I love that. You have to be real. Like genuinely write really good content that actually addresses the pain point. Because even to what I was mentioning earlier, to what you said, there's a lot of fluff out there. There's a ton of articles out there that you read and you're like, this didn't tell me what I was looking for, and you bounce and you leave. When you find that article that you say, oh, okay, they answered my question, I'm going to remember who that brand is, and now that's how you start to develop that brand loyalty, and it's just a customer journey at that point. But yes, no, that's a great question, and hopefully, does that answer it? Okay, perfect.
As good as it can possibly
be,
given the situation.
Gotcha. No, yes.
Could you go back to the place where your content? The
URL.
Oh, yes.
URL.
No problem.
Yeah, that one.
There we go.
That one.
I'll leave that one up.
Thank you.
No problem.
Other questions? Answer one for me if you would. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You mentioned a couple of the different like automation softwares there. HubSpot is obviously a good free one. I know that they do have paid tiers. Have you used SharpSpring or Hatchbox or some of these other ones?
That's a great question. Yes, we've actually worked with both HubSpot and SharpSpring. We actually personally use HubSpot's CRM. Even the free version is great, but there's a paid tier where you even get further capabilities. SharpSpring is awesome too. We've actually built a lot of even landing pages within the platform that are tied to email sequences and all that good stuff. When I say email sequences, that just means an email list. But that scenario would be painted as a landing page with a form. When they fill out the form, they get put into an email list within the backend of the platform. So yeah, no, but I really encourage everyone to really even implement some type of CRM. There's going to be even more CRM companies hitting the market because they know it's a true need for small businesses and solo entrepreneurs.
So do you know of any sites that you would recommend for building landing pages?
That's a great question. Yeah, so there's Lead Pages, which that's a landing page builder. There's also Unbounce. Instapage is common, but I don't recommend that one. The reason why is because Instapage requires you to build a desktop version of your landing page and a mobile version, while Unbounce and Lead Pages will actually be responsive. You'll build one landing page and it'll actually respond to devices.
And many of our constituents are small to mid-sized businesses, and all of us have heard stories of horror stories, I should say, of CRM implementations that have gone awry. I know I'd gotten involved with the Zoho as a relatively free or inexpensive. What are some of the others that you can get started with a bare bones kind of system so you've got something?
For sure. No, that's a great question. To be honest, from my experience thus far, Hatchbuck has been the one that's been the easiest, but honestly, CRMs for small businesses still have a little bit ways to go. Even Infusionsoft has their CRM, but the difficulty is that a lot of these CRMs, to what you were saying, they're very robust. There's a lot of custom workflows that you can build out, et cetera. So I would anticipate that a lot of these companies are going to start building maybe a small business solution as well.
Last question.
Kind of twofold. Do you see any problems using landing pages through these services that they're off your domain and you lose authority? And what do you recommend for getting backlinks or gaining domain authority?
That's a great question. That's a perfect question. To address the first one, you should absolutely always build a landing page underneath your main business domain. You always want that credit. You don't want to see leadpages.com / you don't want to see that. You want to see that the landing page is being shown from that brand that they're inquiring about. So yeah, no, 100%, you should definitely have it underneath the main domain. As far as tactics for backlinking acquisition, that's really the whole world of offsite search engine optimization. So in a nutshell, that whole process means that you're receiving validation from external websites pointing back to your website, saying that you really are the best in what you're claiming you are. And so that's why websites, even like every big news website, Fox, CNN, et cetera, you'll see those domain authorities are incredibly high. If one of our websites had a link that pointed from their website to ours, there'd be a tremendous amount of authority juice pushed our way. The reason why this is important to Google is because that's what Google looks at in terms of how to rank sites, especially with home service companies or markets that are very saturated and there's hundreds of competitors. Google has to think, okay, how am I going to choose the top 10? How am I going to choose the top 3, the top 2, the top 1? And it's all from backlinking. Some of the strategies that are good for backlink acquisition are conducting guest blog posts. So seek out relevant publisher websites in which you can write a free article for them, but you'll input a link back to your website. That's a two-way street. A lot of people won't say no to free content, to be honest. Does that answer the question? Or?
It does. I'll grab you after on that one.
Okay, wonderful.
Thanks. All right, thanks very much, Bobby. And
No problem. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it.
our next speaker, let me ask you.